You store your leftovers to save money. But those trusted containers could be leaching invisible chemicals into every meal. For seniors, the risks are alarming. Hormone disruptors, carcinogens, toxins that interfere with blood pressure medications and kidney function. Today, we expose 9 brands to avoid and 2 that are actually safe. Coming in at number 9, we have got Systemma. Systemma markets itself as the practical British kitchen essential. Colourful lids, stackable designs, and promises of freshness that lasts. Walk into any Tesco, Asda, or Sainsbury's and you will see Systemma containers stacked high on the shelves, suggesting reliability and trust. The packaging boasts BPA-free labels in bold letters. Families across the United Kingdom have filled their cupboards with these containers for years, believing they were making a safe choice for their families. But here is what Systemma does not tell you on that cheerful label. BPA-free does not mean chemical-free. Independent laboratory testing has repeatedly shown that many BPA-free plastics contain alternative chemicals. BPS and BPF behave almost identically to BPA in the human body. A 2020 study published in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives found that 92% of BPA-free products tested still released estrogenic chemicals. That is not a small number. That is nearly every product claiming to be safe. Systemma containers made from polypropylene have faced scrutiny for chemical migration when heated or when storing acidic foods like tomato-based sauces, vinegar-based dressings, and citrus marinades. For seniors, this is not abstract science. These hormone-disrupting chemicals can interfere with thyroid function, blood pressure regulation, and even the effectiveness of heart medications. If you are taking beta blockers or ACE inhibitors, endocrine disruptors can silently undermine what your doctor prescribed. The medication you take every morning could be fighting against chemicals leaching from your lunch container. Consumer complaints on Trustpilot and Amazon UK reviews reveal another troubling issue: warping. Lids that once sealed tightly begin to buckle after just a few dishwasher cycles. That warping creates gaps. Gaps let air in, air breeds bacteria, and bacteria on leftover chicken or rice can cause food poisoning faster than you might expect. For seniors with weaker immune systems, a bout of food poisoning is not just uncomfortable, it can mean hospitalization. It can mean weeks of recovery. It can be genuinely dangerous. The vibrant colours that make Systemma containers look appealing in your cupboard also raise serious questions. Coloured plastics require additional chemical dyes and pigments to achieve those bright reds, greens and blues. When heated in the microwave, despite the microwave-safe label, those dyes can migrate into your food. You cannot see it, you cannot taste it, you cannot smell it. But it is there, meal after meal, accumulating in your system over months and years. Systemma promises freshness and safety. What consumers actually find is warped lids, documented chemical concerns, and a product that degrades faster than the trust placed in it. Have you noticed your Systemma lids warping after a few washes? You're not imagining it. At number 8, we have Addis. Addis has been a household name in Britain for over a century. The brand trades on heritage, tradition, and the reassurance of buying British. When you pick up an Addis container, you are meant to feel like you are choosing quality that has stood the test of time. The packaging suggests durability. The price point suggests value. For seniors who remember when products were built to last, Addis feels like a safe bet. It feels like a connection to when things were made properly. But heritage does not guarantee safety, and tradition does not mean the formula has not changed. Modern Addis containers are manufactured overseas, with production shifting to reduce costs and maximize profit margins. Quality control has become inconsistent at best. Consumer forums are filled with complaints about lids that crack after minimal use, seals that fail within weeks, and a chemical smell that lingers even after multiple washes with hot, soapy water. That smell is not just unpleasant, it is a warning sign. When plastic emits a noticeable odor, it typically means volatile organic compounds are off-gassing into your kitchen air. You are breathing in chemicals every time you open your food cupboard. For seniors storing heart-healthy meals like steamed vegetables, lean proteins, and low-sodium soups, the container should protect the food, not contaminate it. Addis containers stored in warm kitchens or near cookers can accelerate chemical leaching significantly. A 2019 study from the University of Newcastle found that plastic containers exposed to temperatures as low as 40 degrees Celsius showed measurable increases in chemical migration. Your kitchen counter on a warm summer afternoon can easily reach that temperature. The windowsill where you keep your containers absolutely reaches it. The lids present another problem entirely. Addis relies on clip lock mechanisms that weaken over time with repeated use. Once that seal fails, moisture enters freely. Moisture on stored dry goods like rice, oats, or flour creates ideal conditions for mold growth. Mold releases mycotoxins into the air. For seniors with respiratory conditions or compromised immune systems, inhaling mycotoxins can trigger serious reactions, from chronic coughing to dangerous lung infections that require medical treatment. Addis promises British reliability. What customers actually receive is overseas manufacturing, inconsistent quality control, and containers that may introduce more risk than they prevent. Now, at number 7, we have Joseph. Joseph has built an empire on stylish kitchen design. The containers look modern, sleek, and premium. They are photographed beautifully in home magazines and lifestyle publications. They are displayed prominently in John Lewis and Lakeland stores. The price reflects the branding. You pay more because you believe you are getting better. The neat stacking system and color-coded lids suggest organization and sophistication. For seniors who appreciate a tidy kitchen and quality products, Joseph seems like an investment in quality living. But aesthetics do not equal safety. And premium pricing does not guarantee premium materials. Joseph containers are primarily made from polypropylene and other plastics that, despite BPA-free claims, have shown concerning behavior in laboratory conditions. When storing fatty foods like butter, cheese, oily dressings, or olive oil marinades, plastic containers can leach chemicals more readily than with other foods. Fat acts as a solvent, drawing out compounds from the container walls into your food. A 2021 study from the Swiss Federal Food Safety and Veterinary Office found that fatty food contact increased chemical migration by up to 300% compared to dry goods storage. 300%. That is not a minor increase. The clever design features that justify the higher price also introduce unexpected vulnerabilities. Intricate lid mechanisms with multiple moving parts are extremely difficult to clean thoroughly. Food residue accumulates in tiny crevices and joins. Bacteria thrive in those hidden spaces, multiplying between uses. The very features marketed as innovative become breeding grounds for contamination that you cannot see. Consumer reviews reveal another concerning issue: staining. Joseph containers stain deeply and permanently when used with tomato sauces, curries, turmeric dishes, or beetroot. That staining is not just cosmetic damage. It indicates that the plastic surface has absorbed food compounds at a molecular level, which means chemicals can travel in both directions. If the container absorbs your food is absorbing the container. For seniors managing cholesterol through careful meal preparation, storing homemade salad dressings or healthy fats in Joseph containers may be introducing the very toxins they are trying to avoid through better eating. Joseph promises design-led excellence. What kitchen testing actually reveals is chemical vulnerability, cleaning challenges, and surface degradation that compromises food safety over time. Number 6 is Cervers. Cervers dominates the budget end of the food storage market in the United Kingdom. You will find Cervers containers in Wilco, B&M, Home Bargains and Poundland on nearly every visit. The appeal is obvious. Affordable containers that stack neatly and come in convenient multi-packs. For seniors on fixed incomes watching every penny, Cervers seems like sensible economy. It seems like the smart choice for a tight budget. But cheap often means corners have been cut, and in food storage, those corners can cost you your health. Cervers containers are manufactured to hit price points, not safety standards. While they meet minimum regulatory requirements set by UK and EU authorities, minimum is not the same as optimal. Minimum is not the same as safe. The thinner plastic walls that keep costs down also mean less barrier between your food and potential contaminants. Heat transfer is faster through thin walls. Chemical migration is easier through thin barriers. The container that saved you £2 at the checkout could cost you far more in health consequences down the line. Independent testing of budget plastic containers, including brands at Cervers' price point, has shown alarming results that should concern every consumer. A 2022 investigation by the Consumer Group, which found that some low-cost containers release detectable levels of phthalates when microwaved. Phthalates are known endocrine disruptors disruptors that have been linked to kidney damage, liver problems, and cardiovascular stress in multiple scientific studies. For seniors already managing kidney function or taking diuretics to control blood pressure, additional phthalate exposure is a risk no one should take voluntarily. The lightweight construction also means Cerver containers warp and degrade faster than premium alternatives. What starts as a tight seal becomes loose within months of regular use. What looked like a bargain becomes a recurring expense as you replace failed containers again and again. And each time you use a degraded container, you increase exposure to the very chemicals you were never warned about on the packaging. Cerver promises affordability. What the budget price actually delivers is thinner materials, faster degradation, and heightened chemical risk with every single use. If this information helps you stay safer in your kitchen, hit subscribe. It is completely free and means you will never miss these important investigations into the products you trust. Stick around, the fixes are coming at the very end of this video, and they could change how you store food forever. But first, we need to expose the remaining brands. Next up, at number 5 is Lock & Lock. Lock & Lock built its entire reputation on one promise: an airtight seal so secure that nothing gets in or out. The four-sided locking mechanism became iconic in kitchens worldwide. Television demonstrations showed containers submerged in water, shaken violently, even dropped from significant heights, all without a single leak. The marketing was compelling. For seniors concerned about keeping food fresh longer, reducing waste and protecting against contamination, Lock & Lock seemed like the answer to every kitchen worry. But the seal is not the only thing you should be concerned about. Lock & Lock containers are predominantly made from polypropylene with silicone gaskets. While polypropylene is generally considered safer than some other plastics like PVC or polystyrene, it is not inert. It is not completely chemically stable. Under heat exposure, whether from microwaving, hot food contact, or simply sitting in a warm kitchen near the hob, chemical compounds can still migrate into your food. A study published in the journal Food, Additives and Contaminants found that polypropylene containers released measurable levels of antioxidants and stabilizers used in the manufacturing process when exposed to temperatures above 60 degrees Celsius. That temperature is easily reached by hot leftovers. The silicone gaskets that create that famous airtight seal also present significant challenges that are rarely discussed. Gaskets trap moisture and food particles in the groove where they sit. Even with careful washing and attention to detail, residue can remain lodged beneath the silicone ring where you cannot see it. Over time, this creates mold risk. Black mold growing beneath a gasket releases spores every time you open the container. For seniors with asthma, COPD, or any respiratory sensitivity, mold spore exposure can trigger attacks that require emergency medical intervention. Consumer feedback on UK retail sites reveals another frustrating issue: the locks themselves fail. The four-sided clips are made from rigid plastic that becomes brittle with air and UV exposure. Clips snap without warning. Locking mechanisms fail to engage properly. The airtight promise becomes an airtight lie. And failed containers often continue to be used because the damage is not immediately obvious to the eye, creating ongoing exposure to spoiled food and contamination. Lock & Lock promises security. What long-term use actually reveals is chemical migration, hidden mold growth, and mechanical failure that undermines the very protection you paid for. At number 4, we have the IKEA Pruta and 365 Plus ranges. IKEA has convinced millions of Britons that Swedish design means smart living. The Pruta range, colourful, cheap and cheerful, fills kitchen cupboards across the country. Everyone seems to own at least a few. The 365 Plus line promises a step up in quality, with glass bases and plastic lids that suggest the best of both worlds. For seniors furnishing kitchens on a budget or seeking simple, practical solutions, IKEA feels trustworthy. The minimalist Scandinavian aesthetic suggests clean, honest, no-nonsense products. But behind the flat pack philosophy lies uncomfortable truths that deserve examination. The Pruta containers are among the thinnest plastics on the market. That remarkably low price comes from minimal material, and minimal material means minimal protection for your food. These containers stain almost immediately with any coloured food. They warp visibly in dishwashers. They crack in freezers when used for batch cooking. Each form of degradation accelerates chemical release from the stressed plastic. A container designed to be essentially disposable is being used repeatedly by families who expect durability, exposing them to compounds never intended for long-term repeated food contact. The 365 plus range seems better at first glance. Glass bases suggest safety and quality, but the lids remain plastic, and every time you microwave food in these containers, that plastic lid traps steam directly above your meal. Hot steam condenses on the plastic lid, drips back onto your food, and carries whatever chemicals the plastic releases straight into your dinner. The glass base provides false reassurance while the plastic lid does the actual damage to your health. A 2023 investigation by the Swedish consumer magazine Rad och Ron tested IKEA food storage products and found that some plastic components released measurable levels of oligomers. These are chemical compounds that can migrate into food and whose long-term health effects remain poorly understood by science. The study prompted calls for better labeling and safety standards that IKEA has not yet addressed. For seniors who rely on meal prepping, cooking in batches to save energy and effort during the week, storing multiple portions in IKEA containers week after week creates cumulative exposure that no one is tracking or monitoring. IKEA promises smart design at democratic prices. What independent laboratory testing reveals is thin materials, chemical unknowns, and hybrid products that mislead consumers about true safety. Why do you think budget container brands keep using plastics that independent labs flag as concerning? Is it ignorance about the science, or is it simply profit? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Number 3 is Pyrex plastic ranges. Pyrex is a name that seniors trust instinctively. It carries decades of positive associations. For generations, Pyrex meant glass, the borosilicate glass that grandmothers used for casseroles and baking dishes for Sunday roasts. Seemingly indestructible, passing through generations of family use. The name carries weight, credibility, and heritage. When Pyrex began offering plastic storage containers, consumers naturally assumed the same quality standards applied. The familiar logo in that distinctive blue color suggested safety. That assumption could be costing you your health. Pyrex plastic containers share nothing with the glass legacy except the name on the label. They are manufactured from standard polypropylene and polyethylene, subject to the same chemical migration risks as any other plastic container on the market. The brand recognition that makes you trust them provides no additional protection whatsoever. You are paying for a name, not superior materials or better manufacturing standards. Worse, the trust that Pyrex commands may lead consumers to use these containers more carelessly than they otherwise would. Because the brand feels safe and familiar, you might microwave more frequently without thinking. You might store hotter foods directly without letting them cool. You might use the containers longer than advisable because Pyrex should last. Each of those behaviors increases your exposure risk significantly. The brand's sterling reputation becomes a liability rather than an asset when it creates false confidence. Consumer reviews on Amazon UK and Argos reveal widespread complaints that paint a concerning picture. Lids that do not fit properly after a few months of normal use. Plastic that yellows and becomes brittle with age and washing. Seals that warp and fail to close securely. The quality control does not match the premium pricing. The legacy of excellence does not translate to modern plastic product performance. For seniors who remember the real Pyrex, the glass that survived decades of family use, the plastic range represents a betrayal of trust. The name that once meant reliability now means nothing more than clever marketing. Pyrex promises heritage quality. What the plastic range actually delivers is standard materials wrapped in trusted branding, creating false confidence that increases your exposure risk. You will not believe what the next 2 brands have been hiding. The number 1 worst offender is coming up next, and it might be sitting in your kitchen right now. 2, we have Wilco brand containers. Wilco was a British high street institution for almost a century. For over 90 years, Wilco stores provided affordable household essentials to working families across the nation. The own brand containers represented honest value. Simple, functional, accessible to everyone. For seniors who remembered shopping at Wilco with their parents, the brand carried emotional resonance alongside practical appeal. It felt like part of British life. But Wilco collapsed into administration in 2023, and with it went whatever quality oversight once existed. During the final years of operation, cost-cutting reached every corner of the business as the company struggled to survive. Own brand products, including food storage containers, were sourced from the cheapest available suppliers regardless of quality. Quality testing became cursory at best, non-existent at worst. Batches that might once have been rejected for failing standards reached shelves without proper scrutiny. The containers that seniors bought in those final desperate months may have come from factories with no accountability and no standards. Now, Wilco products still circulate widely in clearance sales, discount outlets, and second-hand markets and charity shops. Containers bearing the Wilco name continue to be used in kitchens across Britain. But these products have no warranty support, no company to address defects, and no assurance that they ever met adequate safety standards in their final production runs. There is no one to complain to if something goes wrong. The thin plastic, inconsistent seals, and chemical odors reported by consumers during Wilco's decline are red flags that cannot be ignored. A container bought for £1 that smells of chemicals after washing is telling you something important. That message should not be dismissed as normal or acceptable. For seniors who stockpiled Wilco containers during closing down sales thinking they were getting bargains, those bargains may carry hidden costs to your health. Products manufactured under failing quality control with no recourse if something goes wrong represent a gamble with your well-being. Wilco promised affordability. What the company's collapse revealed was cost-cutting that compromised every product it sold in its final, desperate days. And now, coming in at number 1, the food storage container brand that Brits most urgently need to stop buying is Asda Smart Price and Sainsbury's Basics plastic containers. These own brand budget containers are absolutely everywhere. They cost almost nothing at the checkout. They seem like no-brainer purchases for storing leftovers, packing lunches, or organizing fridges. Seniors on pensions, watching every expense carefully, naturally gravitate to the cheapest options available. When a container costs less than a sandwich, it feels impossible to go wrong. It feels like sensible household management. But these containers may be the most dangerous products in your kitchen. Own brand budget plastics are manufactured to hit the lowest possible price point while still meeting minimum legal requirements. Minimum legal requirements in the United Kingdom for food contact materials are exactly that, minimum. They permit chemical migration levels that other countries consider completely unacceptable. A container can be legally sold in Britain while releasing compounds that would trigger immediate recalls in other developed nations with stricter standards. The plastics used in these budget ranges are often recycled materials of uncertain origin and unknown history. Recycled plastics can contain legacy chemicals, substances banned years ago that persist in the recycling stream indefinitely. When your container is made from recycled content, you may be exposing yourself to chemicals that were outlawed before you even bought the product. The recycling that seems environmentally responsible may be exposing you to banned toxins. A 2022 investigation by the French consumer research organization UFC Que Choisir tested budget food storage containers across European markets and found that some released detectable levels of formaldehyde when heated. Formaldehyde is a known carcinogen recognized by every major health authority in the world. It has been linked to respiratory problems, skin irritation, and with long-term exposure, cancer. For seniors whose immune systems are already compromised by age or illness, formaldehyde exposure is not a theoretical risk you read about in scientific journals. It is a genuine and present threat in your kitchen. The thin construction of these containers makes them particularly vulnerable to damage from normal use. Scratches in the plastic surface create microabrasions where bacteria can colonize and multiply. Warping from heat exposure breaks down material integrity at the molecular level. Discoloration from food contact indicates chemical exchange is actively occurring. Every visible sign of wear is a warning being ignored. For seniors, diligently preparing healthy meals, steaming vegetables, cooking lean proteins, reducing sodium to protect their hearts, storing that carefully prepared food in budget plastic containers may be introducing carcinogens, hormone disruptors, and bacterial contamination that negates every single health benefit you worked so hard to achieve. Is it not strange that supermarkets sell containers for 50p that are meant to protect food worth £5 or £10? Do you think they are testing what those plastics actually release into your food, or just testing what price point moves the most units off shelves? Tell us what you think in the comments below. The solutions, the 2 brands that are actually safe for your health. The first safe option is OXO Good Grips Pop Containers. OXO has built its reputation on accessibility, thoughtful design, and genuine quality. The Good Grips Pop range uses a combination of BPA-free, phthalate-free plastics with airtight seals that have been independently tested for durability and safety by third-party laboratories. The push-button mechanism creates consistent pressure without the failure-prone clips seen in so many other brands. The containers are designed to be cleaned easily with no hidden crevices where bacteria can accumulate unseen. What matters most for seniors is what OXO containers do not contain. No questionable additives, no chemical shortcuts, no legacy toxins from recycled materials of uncertain origin. The materials used have been tested under extended heat exposure and shown minimal migration that meets the strictest international standards. OXO Good Grips. Pop containers are an investment. They are priced higher than budget alternatives, but that investment protects your health every single day. For seniors managing blood pressure, kidney function, or heart conditions, removing chemical exposure from daily food storage is a meaningful step toward better health outcomes. Available at John Lewis, Amazon UK, and Lakeland stores nationwide. The second safe option is glass storage containers with silicone-sealed bamboo lids. The safest food storage material remains glass. Glass does not leach chemicals. Glass does not absorb odors or flavors. Glass does not degrade with heat or age. Glass is chemically inert and completely stable. The only risk with glass containers comes from the lids, and choosing containers with bamboo lids sealed by food-grade silicone eliminates plastic contact entirely from your food storage routine. Brands like Jenny Cook, Igloo, and Prep Naturals offer glass containers with bamboo lids that are widely available in the United Kingdom through Amazon, Lakeland, and independent kitchen retailers. The combination provides the chemical inertness of glass with the renewable sustainability of bamboo and the sealing properties of high-quality silicone. For seniors committed to protecting their health, switching to glass with bamboo lids removes every chemical concern addressed in this video. The containers are heavier, they require more careful handling. They cost more than plastic alternatives, but they will last decades of daily use. They will never leach toxins into your food, and they will never betray your trust with hidden chemicals. Your kitchen should protect you, not harm you. Make the switch today. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.